Alrighty, man. We have here Dylan Rich. My name is Jordan Paris, the founder of Zeus, and I'm interviewing one of our clients that came in to us end of February 2023 for a systems development implementation for his staffing agency, Automated Revenue. Link for that, Dylan.
Yeah, automatedrevenue.com. We just bought that domain
Yeah,
finally.
yeah. And
Um,
I like to tell people about you. I've had you on my podcast. I tell a lot of clients about you. I tell a lot of people about you because I think you provide a great service.
Thank you, sir.
And you're basically, yeah, you're staffing salespeople in organizations. And I've got someone in my organization who I see as a centerpiece of my organization for the next 5 to 10 years. I'm so much so that I even had the thought the other day. I was like, man, like I could see him being the CEO of the company in a few years. Like, so you found me a good one for a good price, man. So go to Dylan for all your sales rep needs. I mean, he can talk more about that as well.
Thank you,
He
sir.
does a lot of good work in the sales space. And so we're here today to talk about the Zeus implementation. Though
Yeah.
again, came in end of February 2023, and then I believe we started getting you moved into your new systems the first week of April of 2023. So it's just about 5, 6, maybe on the long end of it, 7 weeks. And then over the next 4 weeks after that, extending into May, we helped educate you and your entire team on how to use the system. So the first question that I have for you
Yes, sir.
is, can you share where you were before working with Zeus in terms of
Yeah.
revenue growth and the general state of the automated revenue operations? Where were you?
Yeah. It's hard to think. It hasn't been that state in a long time. Thanks to you. But yeah, state of before working with you guys is I think we had, I guess a good analogy, right? Is like just because you have a puzzle doesn't mean it's put together correctly. So we had a pretty big puzzle that we had all the pieces, right? We weren't losing any puzzle pieces, but they weren't put together, right? So we had Airtable, we had good fulfillment, we are not good fulfillment. We had good clients, we had students to place, we had all the pieces,
Yep.
but we needed, kind of like an operating system to put it all together. And that's what you guys were able to help us do. Our operations and fulfillment was if someone wanted a sales rep like yourself, right? If you were coming into the ecosystem, it was very manual. So Slack notification from our CRM saying, hey, we got a new client, manually sending the onboarding form, receiving that onboarding form, and then having to forward that email to our account manager. And then the account manager would then have to go into a Google Sheet to find the candidates, manually reach out to the candidates, set up the interviews manually. Keyword here is manually a lot of times, right? Also, I was involved very much in like we didn't really have any kind of visibility on who was interviewing where without my own brain. So yeah, it was very disparate. It was still getting the job done, but it wasn't happy, right? Like I wasn't like super pumped to fulfill on every single client because there's a lot of time, energy, and effort. So working with you guys, right? Future state and current state, was now we have an absolute kick-ass applicant tracking system. I think the biggest thing was that you ideated with us. So it wasn't like we just like told you like these are the things that we need.
Right.
You're like, well, how about this? And how about this?
Yeah.
And like also how about this? And
Yeah.
like it was able to expand the way in which we fulfill on our offer. Um, it was probably like 30 to 45 days fulfillment time. Now it's down to like 10 days. So pretty significant.
Dude.
And it is good for both sides, right? Because we have students who want to get the job offers and we have clients who need
Yep.
our talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to fulfill on two offers, right?
Yeah.
And the Airtable build out that you guys did with us allows those students to now be tracked and put in the correct stages, as well as interfacing with them, getting feedback, which is super valuable, and to continually make our process better, right? Taking in feedback from both sides. So yeah, I mean, it's been in a massive part of the business. Revenue before and after probably doubled maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Do you mind me sharing specific numbers there?
Yeah, go for it.
We don't have to if you don't want to. Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
I think you were at like, I think you told me a while ago you were at, I have it down somewhere, I have it in our system exactly.
What time? What
It was
did we start? You
January
said?
was the month before you started working with us. So I think you said somewhere like 51, 54, and then
Yeah,
at a certain point it was like
49 or
in the
54.
80s after that, and now I'm thinking that it's over 100.
Yeah, over 100,
Yeah,
120, 130. Yeah.
dude, fantastic. So what I'm hearing, essentially what we did is, well, number one, we got the business out of your brain and into the new brain of your
Yeah.
business, which we call the Zeus operating system built on Airtable. And so then from there, and of course, I don't want to take excessive credit either, but of course, the systems did help you, at least in part, with the production.
Well, it allowed us to take on
pipeline.
more clients confidently.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
as well.
That's a
that as
big
well.
thing.
And you're doing it a little bit faster. Again, not taking all credit for that either. It kind of reminds me of Henry Ford and the production line, the assembly line that he did not invent. He just brought to the auto industry in 1912. And then over the next 3 years, he got, well, actually immediately, he got the time it took to make a car down from 12 hours to 3 hours. And then over the next 3 years, he got it down to 90 minutes. So that's an 8x speed increase. And while he did double people's pay because they started defecting to other automakers because, oh, I want the whole feel of the car. I want to make the whole car. So the workers weren't as happy and they went elsewhere. Well, he just doubled their pay and everyone was like, oh, Ford's going to go bankrupt. Well, no, when you 8x speed and you 2x pay, that's a 4x increase in efficiency. And so that obviously did a lot for the auto industry as a whole over the next 100+ years. And it's been a fantastic innovation. And so we kind of did a mini version of that at Automated Revenue, built that production pipeline. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, man. So
and also cool things that you added, like, so there's still some things that we don't even utilize to the full extent because they're in there, and like we're expanding our abilities as we expand our bandwidth. Like the task master thing that you have built, like we just recently over the last couple of months started implementing that, and I was like, holy crap, like we totally didn't even like scratch the surface.
Dude, I know. And that's, I hate that's like, it's so good. We love it internally at Zeus. And that is somehow most often the most neglected feature when we implement the Airtable systems for a company. Is of course not like integral. I mean, really, like the project management systems, the meat and potatoes of everything. But it's a nice to have, man, like a personal to-do list for each team member. But anyway, I'm mindful of time here, and we got a lot more questions and not a whole lot of time. So your fulfillment process was pretty manual before working with Zeus, and then we came in, a lot. You said, oh, we'd have to manually email the candidate and email the company. That's all automated now, right? The emailing of each, kind of like the production pipeline, everyone getting emails at the right time, the candidates in the companies, and you can see who's been introduced to whom already, who's interviewed where, and vice versa. So yeah, like, would you add anything else to some of the main challenges? What were some of the main challenges before working with us? Like, would you add anything else to it?
I think a big thing is just like the capabilities of forms, right? Like all of our forms are now centralized into tables, so the information doesn't have to be manually inputted.
Yeah. And
that
before you were
massive
using
saver.
Typeform,
Yeah,
which was like completely separate from any other part of your business.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's all in one place.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how did you feel about like the vision for the future at that point in January 2023? Obviously, like, I'm sure you were excited, newer business, growing, because by nature of a good offer, but like, as you think about scaling that, how did you think about scaling that? Did that overwhelm you at all? Were you like, oh, I just have to brute force it, that's all it is, sales? Like, what were you thinking? Would you think brute force was the only way at that point?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you when you are not a salesperson, you're a business owner, you have to think about more things encompassing than just selling people, right? You have to actually make
Mhm.
sure that you provide the thing that you sell them on. So, yeah, I mean, it's really helped build out our customer success department, right? Where they have one single source of truth, right? And if
Yep.
it's not in there, it's not in there. And all of our students that graduate our program now they fill out an Airtable form, so they're in the system, and there's automations there to get them screened and vetted and put into the pipelines. And yeah, it's awesome. I mean, now
Yeah.
thinking like just thinking about Airtable and how impactful it is to the growth of our business, like
Mm.
yeah, it's allowed us to scale confidently.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and keep your promises. You're confident in your ability to keep your
Exactly.
promises when you sell someone that everything's not going to fall apart. You've quite literally got more capacity now.
Yeah, literally
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
capacity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it helps sales, right? Like a salesperson wants to sell something that the offer actually does
Yeah.
what it says it's going to do, right? So it creates
Yeah.
confidence in the salesperson too.
So speaking of that, like the client experience and the student experience, how has that changed from their perspective?
Well, it's like streamlined, right? Because when someone graduated the program, it'd be like, yeah, we'll reach out to you. And it was like super manual in Slack, right?
Right. Right.
And like as
Probably
all
forgot
Slack
some students
messages,
too.
what is that?
Probably forgot some people every now and then
That's what
too.
I'm saying. Like Slack messages sometimes go read and not responded to. So just like I said, centralizing everything in one specific place and being able to automate the outreach there. Like you click one button and boom, email sent, or you click another button and oh, this thing is sent. The automations from Airtable on the back end, and you set them all up. Like just because they're there doesn't mean you utilize them, right? We had Airtable when we started working. We already had an Airtable. Was it
Yep.
being used to the fullest extent? Absolutely not, right?
Right.
And like I feel like that's a lot of problems with tech in general is that everyone has technology, but is everyone utilizing the technology to its fullest extent? And that's
Mhm.
why we brought you in, is because I know we had an Airtable. I know Airtable is a cool software, but do I have the time, energy, resources, or expertise to actually put it in a place in a way that worked for the business? Absolutely not.
Yeah. Find a who to figure out the how for you. That's the
Yeah.
whole essence of Dan Sullivan's great book, Who Not How.
Yeah.
Now, tell everyone like what your commitment was like during the implementation, the building process. What was your time commitment, your responsibilities, and then what did we take care of?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
So
remember
obviously
all the way back.
obviously I had to download my brain to you, right?
Yeah.
So, in-depth onboarding process, but that's for the greater good, right? Like, so filling out an onboarding form, downloading my brain and what I actually needed, as well as being able to include team members because we chatted in Slack, right? So I have a perception of something, but my customer success a different perception of something. So being able to collaborate multiple department heads with your team, essentially got it to be faster where I wasn't the bottleneck, where I was like, hey, Donnie, who's the head of our CSMs, you chat with Jordan and his team, right?
Yep.
So that was definitely very helpful, but it was a quick process. Things were done efficiently, as well as like the revisions iteration process was seamless too. Like, hey, can we add this? Hey, can we add this? Because the whole idea of a system is to break it and then fix it.
Yeah.
Stress test it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we did from during April and May. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was that time. And then what are you looking at now for the next 6 to 12 months? Where do you see automated revenue going from
Yeah.
here?
So our goal for 2024 is 6.12 million. So hitting that $1 million a month mark in Q4 is what we're forecasting.
Heck yeah.
So and having something that we don't have to fix now or later is something that's nice. It's not even on the back of my mind. It's like, all right, that is taken care of in the business. We just got to
Hmm.
focus on
Hmm.
sales and marketing and retention.
Cool, man. I'm excited to see you guys get there and
Yeah, me too.
here to support however. And then what were you surprised about as far as the operating system goes? Like, did you have any misconceptions before starting, anything that came out and surprised you in a good or a bad way?
I think it was just surprising that I had this thing already. Like I already had Airtable, but
Yeah.
shit using it
Yeah.
to
You didn't realize the
the
power.
degree.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So that was definitely eye opening of like, you've already been paying for this thing and it wasn't doing what it could have been doing, right? So it's always that like, I wish I found you guys earlier type thought process, but
Yeah.
the main thing is that it's in place now. So no harm, no foul.
Nice, man. Well, if someone's on the fence about working with us, what would you say to them?
Yeah. I would say that like if operations and fulfillment is something that takes up a good part of your bandwidth, or it's just annoying, not annoying, frustrating to fulfill, or you're like scared to actually grow your sales and marketing. Like I've talked to people like, oh, I can't run ads because we can't take on that many clients. Like that should never be a reason for not scaling your company.
Totally.
So if that is a problem, definitely hit up Jordan and his team. I've referred you a couple of clients. Anyone that's like, hey, who you use for Airtable? Boom, that's my guy. So, um, happy to refer clients, and I think that's a good testament. Is if your clients speak positively about you
Yep.
behind your back, it's a
Yep.
good indicator.
Yeah. And one of the things you'll actually like this, Dylan, we're actually starting to create a dashboard, an interface with this data is like two metrics. What percentage of our clients end up referring us at least one person, whether they closed or not? And then what is the gross, like what is the average number of referrals per client? You know, it might be something like 1.73, right? You know, something like
Yeah.
that. That's a really, really good metric.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I like
That
that.
that tells a lot about your fulfillment process and how good you guys are and how much you honor your promises. Any final thoughts? Are we good?
No, no, I'm glad we found you guys.
Yeah. Good. Thanks for being here today.
Of course, brother.
Yeah.
Happy to help.